Caldara, president of the Independence Institute and your devil's advocate. A little later on, we're going to talk about the Taxpayer Bill of Rights and, well, actually celebrate it, as dirty as that sounds. But first, the man who wants to be king, or at least governor, Doug Robinson, thank you for being here.
Not king, governor.
Anymore.
Great
What's
to
the
be
difference?
here.
What's the difference? All right.
There's a big difference.
Before we get into the details, I just want to share this. I love knowing people's first jobs. Tell me again. First job.
First job working for Sacramento County in their sewage department. And actually one of my key things was once a week we would go out into the, they would put the sewage into ponds out by the airport. They had an aerator in the middle of it, so the sun and the aeration would, decompose the sewage. And I went out there in a rowboat with a scrubber basically to clean the aerators. That was my first job, and my boss was a World War II vet. He was trying to, get me in. It was amazing. But it was $8.50 an hour.
In what year?
1980.
That is a ton of money in 1980 for a kid.
It was a ton of money. It was. I was looking for the highest paying job I could find, and that was it.
So from the sewage in there to your first job, the sewage to your job you want, I needed to put that there.
There's a little bit of correlation.
Correlation. You're in a four-way primary, which will be solved in about a week and a half. And according to the polls, you're not doing so well. So tell me how that affects you. How are you going to win? What's going to happen?
Clearly, that was disappointing. Our polling is different than those numbers. So
let me just say, there was polling that said Hillary Clinton was going to be our president, bar none. So yes,
exactly. So we don't, directionally, I think, we're not in the lead. Walker Stapleton's in the lead. I think you have a message that is resonating with folks. We are running this through the primary, and hopefully, we don't know. 30%, even in that poll, 30% of the voters approximately were undecided. I hear, and look at the number of people that have voted so far. We've been almost 2 weeks in, and it's, 3 or 4% have voted? So a lot of people are coming to our website, hundreds every day.
And unaffiliateds
now
can vote in either the Republican or the Democratic primary. So you're trying to get some of those, I'm hoping.
We are. We're reaching out to, every night we're calling, we're talking to people around the state. Every day, if your folks want to tune in, we've got a video that I'm doing on our Facebook at Doug for Co. And I'm trying to be funny and serious, talk about issues that really matter in Colorado.
Let's talk about those issues. First, you've got to get through this primary. And we're going to find out. So I understand you're going to be working hard. Assuming you win this primary, you're going to be facing either Jared Polis or Kerry Kennedy are the two, looks like the two leaders in that race. Both of them seem to be in a commanding lead for a general election. How are you going to translate what you're doing in a primary to what you need to do in a general?
We're going to talk about the issues that really matter for Coloradans and how we can solve them without raising their taxes. And that's going to be the big thing. The Democrats are going to say we have to blow up Tabor. You're going to talk about it here later. We have to raise taxes. We got to have a sales tax. Those are regressive on people. We have to, it's bigger government, more government involvement. We need less government. I know you'll like that, but you know what I mean? We've got too much government. Let's talk about healthcare. The solution to healthcare is getting government out of it, not more. So
let's knock these off one at a time.
Yeah.
As you know, I'm working on an initiative to have more money going to road funding, not transit funding. We call it Fix Our Damn Roads, which you Mormons aren't allowed to say. You can say fix your darn roads.
Fix our damn roads.
Where you go. I'll buy you some caffeinated drinks afterwards.
Yeah. I'm supportive of your initiative. I think it's exactly the right approach.
So?
Because we don't need to raise taxes, but there's also not $1 billion lying around in CDOT or the budget. Some of my competitors think that we can just save our way. CDOT can be a lot more efficient, but it's not the billions that we need to really make an impact on our roads. And so borrowing, doing exactly what Bill Owens did 20 years ago is absolutely the solution.
And I'll be honest, I'm really uncomfortable about a debt package. But I don't see any other way of getting this done. Furthermore, I don't see any other way to force the legislature to spend the money on the roads other than to pay back a debt package, because this legislature they haven't wanted to do it for a decade. They finally did a little something in this last session, but it's still paying homage to transit. So
They haven't done it. They've had no leadership, and since Bill Owens put $200 million a year from the general fund into CDOT, it's been an average of $50 million a year. 3 years of John Hickenlooper's administration, he had zero funding from the general fund for transportation or roads, and this is a way to do it. As my numbers, I think, are similar to yours. I think it means about $225 million a year that we're committing from the general fund. Half of that comes from the Owens bonds, which are rolling off this year, and then we can find the savings and the efficiencies to lock in to pay the other and solve this problem without raising taxes.
It's a popular idea. I think people want it as well. Our polling shows it's wildly supported. But let's get back to the budget issue. Right now, the driver in the budget obviously isn't roads because they're letting them
It's
decay.
healthcare. It's Medicaid.
It's Medicaid. 1 out of every 4 of us is taking welfare from the state, including able-bodied, fatherless men.
Yeah.
Tell me, this is the driver, and at some point, Colorado is going to have to face the music on the growing costs of Medicaid, and because it's running us over a fiscal cliff. What are you going to do as governor?
We do some basic things. Number one, we put in place a asset test in addition to a means test, so that I think there are a lot of people that are on Medicaid that have lots of assets and so on, and we could do that. We could ask for a waiver from the federal government.
All right, let me take one at a time. So
okay.
An asset test. So right now it's technically means tested.
It's only a means test.
So I could be living off of my millions of dollars in the bank, but I don't have a job. I can still get Medicaid.
Exactly.
So you want to do some sort of wealth test, saying, listen, you're a millionaire. You don't have a job. You can pay for it.
Exactly. Then 2, we need to require that able-bodied adults, like you were talking about, are working or looking for work. 7 states have asked for that sort of a waiver. We could do it here.
Have any of them gotten that yet?
I think yes. I think they have. So we could do that.
It's a work requirement.
A work requirement.
Which is,
okay.
You want subsidized health care, fine. You have to have a job, or at least prove to us that you're looking for a job. They're doing that with food stamps, and many states are finding that is reducing the rolls tremendously.
Yeah. 3rd, we need either a monthly premium or an increased copay for those people that are on it. It will change behavior. Look at what Indiana's done. And we're not talking about a lot here. Indiana has an average monthly premium of $12, and it is changing behavior in terms of the way people consume Medicaid.
What do you mean? Explain that a little bit more in detail.
So somebody who's on Medicaid, right now it's just free. You know what I mean? You're not paying anything for it. You go to the doctor, what is it? We raised it from $1 to $2.
Your copay is $2.
Are you kidding me?
I think prescriptions, it's now from $1 a bottle to $2 a bottle.
$2, yeah. Right? So what if, so people on average are paying $12 a month. Actually, it adds up. It's money but it changes behavior too. And the most important thing we need to do, and 20 other states have adopted this, is go from a fee-for-service model to a managed care model.
Sounds a lot like an HMO. Is that what I'm hearing?
Managed care is basically where, rather than reimbursing for sickness or for the number of times that you're in the doctor's office and getting reimbursed for that, you have the providers bid on a certain population and say, we'll pay you this much for that person for the year. And what it does is it changes the behavior. Then the providers are trying to keep people healthy. It's about wellness and keeping them healthy. And so those are the things, if we did that, we could get a control on our Medicaid costs.
Isn't that basically the idea of an HMO, which is, here,
yeah.
we're gonna get, so put people, basically you're saying take people who are on Medicaid and give them a form of an HMO instead.
Yeah, put them into a plan where the state pays so much per person per year, and have the providers figure out how to keep them healthy. And I'll just tell you one example. This isn't in Medicaid, but it's in the private pay. There's a clinic in Grand Junction called the Stapleton Clinic. And 5 primary care physicians have come together. They have a pharmacy in-house, they have an exercise and a nutrition specialist. You go in there, you get a body scan, they tell you, John, you're drinking too much Coke. You know what I mean? You need to be running more or whatever.
It's not the Coke I'm drinking that's the problem.
It's $89 a month for all the primary care you can consume. And then that's supplemented with a high deductible plan for a car accident or other events. And they're making money. And I'm a business guy. I said, well, show me your income statement. They wouldn't do that, but they told me that they had over 20% operating margins. We can do better.
All right. talk to me about education as well. We got a nice summer, or before the summer started, my kids' teachers decided to abandon them for a day of learning so that they could go down to the Capitol and demand more money. What are we going to do with education? Are we good where we are, or do we need to reform education in Colorado? What would you do?
We're clearly not good at all. I mean,
not?
Look at this. Well, you know, we're the second most educated state in the country in terms of adults with college degrees that live here. Massachusetts is one. We're 7th from the bottom in terms of graduation rate, you know, 77%. It is abysmal. We have to raise expectations, and it's not a big tax increase. It is doing more with the money that we have. The Democrats have fed us a lie. I don't know where they got this, that we're right near the bottom in terms of per pupil funding. The NEA,
no, we're right in the middle of the pack.
We're 28th.
Yep.
You know what I mean? The NEA just published it. We are 28th in the country. And
wait, let me echo that, because I don't think people hear that. The National Education Association, the biggest, meanest, ugliest union in the nation,
Democrat to the core,
has, in their numbers, has us right in the middle of funding per student.
And you know what? There's no correlation, we looked at it, between the money that you spend and the performance of the kids. Zero. You know, so we have to, but I do believe that we should put more money into teachers' pockets and more money into the classroom. You know where it comes from? Administration. We have seen an 85% growth in administrators in this state since 1990, while the student population's up 50%.
Give me that statistic one more time, because that's a bit mind-boggling. Go ahead.
Okay, since 1990, the number of students in our schools is up 50%.
Okay.
The number of administrators is up 85%.
I don't think that's going to surprise anyone.
So you know what we do? I would incent, as governor, every dollar school district moves from administrative costs into the classroom. That could be teacher pay, it could be, you know, computers or books or field trips. We'll match it dollar for dollar at the Capitol. And you know what? Not much is going to happen, I don't think. You know?
So in this race, we've got 4 people running.
Right.
A lot of people are looking at Walker Stapleton going, your uncle's a former president. Your uncle's a former presidential hopeful and soon to be a senator.
Yes.
Your story really doesn't include a lot from your uncle, Mitt Romney. Your businesses did not grow out of his businesses. If I understand right, tell me if I got that.
Absolutely. It's a big family. My grandfather, you know, he came from nothing, dirt poor, made his success of himself, 3-term governor of Michigan. I look a lot to him. And when I was a teenager, just before I was telling you about my first job, my dad left our family. And my mom, either out of shame or embarrassment, didn't let others know the full extent of our circumstances. I went to work. I've gotten $0 from the Romney family, 0. I've gotten a lot of other great things, but it has not been money.
Maybe you should try a little harder next time to get some money out of the Romney family.
Actually, you did make a contribution to the
there
campaign.
Hey,
there we go.
People want to get involved in your campaign or learn more. Where do they go?
Yeah, they need to tell their friends. They need to go to doug4colorado.com, learn at my campaign, and most of all, vote and send an email to your friends. Let them know we have a guy who is not only competent, has great character. We can take this fight to the Democrats and not talk about character issues. We're going to be talking about these things that can really make Colorado better.
Spectacular.
Thank you, John.
Thank you much. Stay tuned.